Hi, my name is Vernon Gordon, lead pastor of the Life Church in Virginia, and I'm honored for this time that we're going to share together. It was George Bernard Shaw that said the greatest challenge in communication is the illusion that it is taking place. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been married long enough to know that communication matters. I've been parenting long enough to know communication matters. And well, as communicators all across churches and other leadership roles, we know communication matters. And yet, we're probably living in one of the greatest cultural shifts of communication and content and consumption that we've seen in recent history. So what do we do about that? Well, we say things like hybrid communication. It's for this reason that this session is all about how to communicate to those in the room and beyond it. The world is shifting in so many ways, and communication is evolving as well. One of the ways that is changing is frequency of attendance. But don't mistake a person's absence of frequency as an absence of loyalty. There are many people who will now engage with our community from afar or as they travel in brand new ways, which means we have to grow and evolve in our model and mission as well. Now look, we all know that the message that we carry is timeless, enduring, and powerful, and necessary for a time such as this. But how do we continue to make sure that message is heard clearly as the world evolves? Well, it's with this in mind, I think about one of my favorite things in the world, orange juice. Now, I know that may seem like we took a little bit of a turn, but stay with me here. I'm a huge fan of orange juice. And not too long ago, Tropicana chose to change their design. You may remember the cartons of orange juice that they originally had, but now they have this new sleek design with the plastic bottles and the ridges at the top. But if you study it, the content never changed. The presentation did, but what made up Tropicana orange juice is still the same. May I suggest to you and I that our mission is still the same, even if our model is changing. It's with this in mind as we think about hybrid communication that I want to give you three things to focus on. The first is let's focus on engagement. It's Nona Jones, who's the head of faith partnerships at Facebook, that says, at one point, content was king. But if content is now king, well, engagement is emperor. We all have to be mindful that the people that we are serving value participation over just quality production. So here are a few ways you can engage. Make eye contact. That's right. There are people watching you from living rooms and in their cars and in their cubicles. Look into that camera and let them know that you're conversing with them as well. Another way to focus on engagement is encourage them to get to work using their fingers in the chat. This is a great way for them to feel like they're not just consuming content, but actually participating in a conversation. The last thing is, if you have the capacity to do so, allow team members to respond to that engagement, making it feel like they are not just not known, but that they are seen, heard, and loved in the midst of the conversation. So the question we want to ask when we're focusing on engagement is, who are we talking to? Because not only are you talking to those in the room, you're talking to those beyond it. The second thing we want to focus on is we want to focus on experience. It was Maya Angelou who said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that we've all invested great energy and effort into creating great experiences in person. But now we have to take that same energy and attentiveness to creating great experiences beyond the room. It's with this in mind, as we focus on experience, that we can do a few things. Number one, ask yourself, is it a distraction? Because what sometimes makes sense in the room doesn't always make sense beyond it. A great way to do this is ask for people's feedback. Hey, is there anything that you see or don't see that distracts you from the experience? The second thing we have to think about is the addition of lower thirds or illustrations that help people feel more a part of the experience. These are great ways for people to laugh and pat each other and say, I'm in that experience with them. Don't forget that it is also a great visual aid for those who are in commute or may not be in a position to take notes at the time. The last thing we want to focus on when we're thinking about experience is great audio and visual quality matter. Now, this doesn't mean we have to go out and spend a lot of money, But it does mean we have to take the time to ask ourselves, is what I'm communicating able to be heard and experienced clearly? Here's the question we want to ask when we're thinking about our experience. We want to ask the question, what's good enough? It's my wife who always says comparison is the thief of all joy. So what we don't want to do is try to compare ourselves to the church next door or try to invest into everything at once. But we want to ask ourselves, what can we do now to take the next steps into increasing the quality of the experience we provide? The last thing we want to focus on is we want to focus on expectations. It was Craig Rochelle who said, you can either do a few things great or a lot of things average. Look, we don't have to do it all at once. And make no mistake about it, there are some people whose motivations are different as it pertains to hybrid communication. There are some who are using it as a tool to stay connected, but they're really in-person attendees at heart. And then there are others who are making a decision to say, no, I want to be a part of online engagement exclusively as a part of the way I'm connected to your community. You can't meet everybody's expectations, but you can be clear about what you're trying to accomplish. So the question we should be thinking about is, what are we promising? Are we creating an online community or an online church? Or are we creating online resources and engagement avenues? You don't have to promise the world, but you do have to be clear on expectations. Now, before we finish this talk, I do want us to make sure we answer the question, what about the people in the room? Yes, we're communicating beyond the room now more than ever before, but aren't there people still in the room? Here are 3 things to be thinking about during hybrid communication. First, use those in the room to incentivize those beyond it to come and be a part of the community. Now, I didn't say guilt them to come and be in the room, but what we can do is use the laughter of the room. Use people as a part of illustrations to help people see beyond the room the joy that is inside. If you watch entertainers, you love hearing the others sing with them. If you watch sporting events, we love seeing the fans cheering. And in the same like way, you can show people that there's a great community waiting to love them by the way you use those in the room. The second thing you can focus on is spend 70% of your time talking to those in the room. Why? Because their laughter, their conversation with you also affirms to those beyond the room that what you're saying is a larger community who's agreeing with it as well. And the last thing that we want to focus on when it comes to those in the room is being honest with them that there's a world beyond it. Don't skip past that truth. Be okay being transparent, saying, hey, we serve a family and have a mission that goes far beyond this moment, and you are a part of making it effective. I will close with this. I remember a teenager who came up to me in the middle of 2020. And he said to me, Pastor Vernon, I really have been loving this church. And I said, which part? He said, well, actually, this is my first time here. I've been enjoying it in my room on my phone. You have no idea how this church has helped me through one of the most anxious and turbulent seasons of my life. We would have never known that we were in the room with a teenager having a tough time, and what we did beyond the room brought him in the room. You never know who you're reaching. And yes, communication is changing rapidly, but our mission remains the same. And you are creating irresistible churches that will change every generation from this day forward. So let's continue to build God's kingdom together. Thank you.